Add 3.61 plus 8.42. We want to write the question vertically, lining up the decimal points. So here it is, and now I'm ready to add. I add down the columns just like I would do with ordinary addition. So we have 3, 6 plus 4 is 10, carry the 1, and 8 plus 3 plus 1 is 12. And we bring down the decimal point, so the answer is 12.03. Add 9.367 plus 24. We begin by writing the problem vertically, lining up the decimal points. 24, we can put a decimal point on the end, followed by 3 zeros as placeholders. Now I just add down the columns. 7 plus 0 is 7, 6 plus 0 is 6, 3 plus 0 is 3, 9 plus 4 is 13, carry the 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. So the answer to my problem is 33.367. Add 11.23 plus 5.4. We want to write this vertically, lining up our decimal points. I'll fill in the missing place with a 0. And now I add down. 3 plus 0 is 3, 2 plus 4 is 6, 1 plus 5 is 6, and bring down the 1. Also bring down the decimal point. So our answer is 16.63. Calculate the perimeter of the given trapezoid. Remember, perimeter is the distance around, so we want to add up these 4 numbers. 3.1 plus 2.2 plus 4 plus 2. I'm going to write the problem vertically. 3.1 plus 2.2. I'll add a decimal point and a 0 as a placeholder onto the 4 and also onto the 2. And now I'll add down. 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 0 is 3. 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 is 11. And I'll bring down my decimal point. So the answer is 11.3 centimeters. Calculate the perimeter of the given triangle. Remember, perimeter is distance around the figure, so we want to add 2 plus 4.1 plus 5.27. I'm going to write those numbers vertically, lining up the decimal points. I'll add a 2 with a decimal point on to the end, added to 4.1 and 5.27. Notice how I line up the decimal points. I'm also going to add zeros as placeholders to the end of the 2 and to the end of 4.1. Now I am ready to add. 0 plus 0 plus 7 is 7. 0 plus 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 4 plus 5 is 11. And I bring down the decimal point. So the answer to this question is 11.37 centimeters. A grocery store sells bananas in bags, with each bag containing approximately 2 pounds of bananas. Find the median weight for the 7 bags if their actual weights are listed here. We need to compare these 7 numbers and put them in order from least to greatest. By comparing the ones place, we see that 3 of the numbers have a 1 in their ones place. These are the smallest 3. Continuing to compare these numbers place by place, I begin by giving them all 3 digits after the decimal point. In the 10th place, they all have a 9. In the 100th place, I see these 2 are the smallest because they have an 8 in their 100th place, whereas the other number, which I have underlined, has a 9 in its 100th place. So these 2 are the smallest 2, and also because 0 is less than 7, I know that 1.98 is the smallest of these numbers, and that 1.987 comes second, and that the other number beginning with a 1, 1.999, comes third. Continuing to put the other 4 numbers in order from least to greatest, I'm going to give each of these 3 digits after their decimal point and compare place by place. I see that from these ones, now I'm only working with the circled numbers here, out of these 4 circled numbers, 3 of them have a 0 in the 10th place. So these ones will come first. Okay. If we go on to the 100th place, we see that these 2 have a 1 in their 100th place, which is less than 5, and that since 0 is less than 3, the next smallest number is 2.01, followed by 2.013, followed by 2.05. The largest in our list is 2.1 because it's the only of our numbers that has a leading digit in the ones place of 2 and a 1 in the tens place. So I've ordered my numbers from least to greatest. Since I have an odd number of numbers in my list, I have 7. We know that we have one middle number, and that middle number is 2.01. 2.01 is the median. Estimate 1,234. To estimate, we use the leftmost non-zero digit, which is the 1, and we look immediately to the place on its right, which is the 2. And since 2 is less than 5, we keep the 1 as a 1 in the thousandths place, but we convert all of the other digits to 0. So the estimate of 1,234 is 1,000. Subtract 6 minus 3.01. We'll write this vertically, lining up our decimal points. There is a decimal point after the 6. I'm going to fill in the missing places with zeros, and I'm ready to subtract. Now, I can't take 1 away from 0, so I need to borrow, and I have to go over 2 places to borrow. I borrow from the 6, which becomes a 5, and makes the place next to it a 10. I borrow from the 10, and it becomes a 9, which makes the place that I'm dealing with a 10. And now I'm able to subtract. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 0 is 9. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I bring down my decimal point. So my answer is 2.99. The table below shows the postal rates for priority mail in 2009. The question has 2 parts, so we'll focus our attention on just Part A. Part A asks, how much more does it cost to send a 2.7 pound package to Zone 6 than to Zone 5? Because the package weighs more than 2 pounds, we'll end up paying the 3 pound rate. The cost to Zone 5 is $9.05. The cost to Zone 6 is $9.90. To find out how much more it costs to send to Zone 6 than to Zone 5, I subtract these values. To subtract, I line up my decimal points and I subtract down. I need to borrow from the 9, so it becomes an 8 and makes the 0 a 10. Then 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 0 is 8. And 9 minus 9 is 0. So we get a value of 85 cents. It will cost $0.85 more. Now we'll work on Part B. A customer sends one 1.5 pound package to Zone 3 and another 1.5 pound package to Zone 7. How much will it cost to mail both packages? Because the packages are above 1 pound, we'll end up paying the 2 pound rate. The cost to Zone 3 is $5.20. The cost to Zone 7 is $8.10. To find out the cost to mail both packages, we add up these 2 values. I line up the decimal points and then I add down the columns. The total price to mail both packages is $13.30. It will cost $13.30 to mail both packages. Add negative 99.99 plus negative 100.05. We will use the triple S method to add these 2 negative numbers, which says we can just add the absolute values of the numbers, and then at the end, since these 2 signs are the same, our answer will also be negative. So I'm just going to add these two values, lining up my decimal points and adding the columns. 9 plus 5 is 14, carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. I'll bring down my decimal point, and I remember if I'm adding two negative numbers, the answer is also negative, so my final answer is negative 200.02. Subtract negative 5.7 minus 1.62. We can write this as an equivalent addition problem by switching to addition and making this negative 1.62. And now we can use the R-triple-S method that says we can just add the absolute values of these numbers and then put on the negative sign at the end. The addition of two negative numbers will give us a negative number. So adding up the absolute values, I line up my decimal points and I add a 0 as a placeholder. Adding down my columns gives 2. 6 plus 7 is 13, carry the 1. 5 plus 1 plus 1 is 7, and I bring down my decimal point. The answer is negative 7.32, because remember, the sum of two negative numbers is also a negative number. Add negative 3.15 plus 6.7. Because these numbers are different in sign, I'll use the triple D method, which says I subtract or find the difference of the two numbers and then take the sign of the dominant. So subtracting the absolute values, I'll add a 0 as a placeholder, and I've lined up my decimal points. And I need to borrow from the 7. It becomes a 6, and the 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 6 minus 1 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3. And I bring down the decimal point. My answer is positive 3.55 because my answer takes the sign of the dominant number.